It is one of the greatest rivalries in all of sports, and North Carolina and Duke meeting for a spot in the national championship. Here to break down the matchup, 24/7 Sports Inside Carolina reporter Taylor Vippolis. Taylor, welcome to New Orleans. The set has been we have set the scene here for this matchup, and in case you haven't heard, this is the first time they're meeting in an NCAA tournament game. They've been meeting since 1920. What does this game mean to the rivalry?
Yeah, I almost feel bad for Villanova and Kansas at this point, where they're almost the afterthought when everybody's talking about North Carolina and Duke meeting in this game. And I think this game means a ton to the rivalry. You could sense it from both teams when you hear them talk. And I think that one thing for this North Carolina team is they're almost the afterthought in this game with how much attention's going on Coach K. A lot of people are still talking about this North Carolina team being an 8 seed and being almost the Cinderella of the tournament, which is crazy to say with North Carolina having the most Final Four appearances out of any school in the country. So I think that this North Carolina team is hungry to get out there and kind of show the world, that the second game against Duke wasn't a fluke.
Yeah, 21 Final Fours for North Carolina. That's why they're a blue blood. I want to take you back to mid-February. They lost to Pitt. Since then, they've won 10 of their last 11. What does that say about the coaching job that Hubert Davis has done?
Yeah, I think we've seen the players for this North Carolina team really grow up over the past month and a half, but it's really been Coach Davis growing up as a coach. He's brought a lot of modern philosophies to North Carolina basketball, where Roy Williams, who a Hall of Fame coach in his own right, his systems were a little outdated with playing two traditional bigs in the post. Coach Davis wants to have the stretch four in his lineup. He wants to run more modern NBA-style philosophies. So he's brought in a staff that's kind of helped him do that. And over the past month and a half, this North Carolina team is playing as well as anybody in the country.
Yeah, they have been absolutely incredible. Again, winning 10 of their last 11. And this was a team that a lot of people said, hey, I don't know if Hubert Davis is the guy. I don't know if he's the guy that can lead North Carolina back to triumph. And here they are again in the Final Four. What does it say about Hubert Davis and sort of his connection with the team? Because Mike Krzyzewski said on Friday how impressed he was that he hasn't tried to fill anybody's shoes. He hasn't tried to fill the shoes of Roy Williams. He's just been himself.
Yeah, Coach Davis has been himself from the moment he got this job at the press conference. I think he understands how big a job this is, and when you talk to Coach Davis, the first thing that you'll be able to tell right away is how much he loves this North Carolina team and how much he loves this university for North Carolina. I think that comes across the second you talk to him. When you talk to him about how emotional he gets, he says his wife hates it. He cries all the time. He was crying after they won against St. Peter's to go to the Final Four. But when I talked to him about what kind of makes him cry, he was like, it's his faith, it's his family, and it's this basketball team. And you kind of see that with the emotions, and the team has started to take on his identity when they've won the past 10 of their last 11 games.
And he predicted that North Carolina would be here. I mean, he told his players before the season, hey, tell your parents, book your flights, book your hotels. We're going to be in the Final Four, and here they are. And of course, Hubert Davis isn't new to the Final Four. He's been here as a player, been here as an assistant, helped Roy Williams win in 2017, their last national championship. And it's this team that he relies on, this Iron Five: Armando Bacot, Brady Manek, R.J. Davis, Caleb Love, Leaky Black on a defensive side. They play a ton of minutes, heavy usage. Are you concerned at all about exhaustion because of how high they've been running for the last couple months?
Yeah, I think this team has kind of been built for this moment, for this system with Coach Davis to play 40 minutes. They played this. They got the nickname the Iron Five after the second Duke game, where they did not sub once in the second half, and it was a game where they were getting better as the game went on, where if that game doesn't end when it does, North Carolina probably wins that game by 20-plus points,
yeah.
which is just crazy to say. The reason why I wouldn't be worried about it for tomorrow's game in the Final Four against Duke's offense, they run a little bit out of the horn set, and then it's a lot of isolation ball, where the defense can rest when somebody like Paolo Banchero's going ISO. And it's not an offense like North Carolina's seen over the past month, Virginia Tech, UCLA, where they're running you through a lot of off-ball movement. So I think the fact that Duke does run so much ISO, and it is an offense that is still, the most efficient offense in the country. I think that actually does play into Carolina's hand a bit with how much the defenders can kind of stand around when they're not guarding their man.
And one of the things that stood out for this North Carolina team has been their guard play. How has that evolved throughout the season?
Yeah, early on in the season, it felt like a bad AAU team where RJ Davis, it was his turn to run the offense. It was Caleb Love's turn to run the offense the next time down. And it was a lot of that your turn, my turn. And over this past 2 months, the biggest change for this North Carolina team has been RJ Davis's growth as the primary ball handler for this offense. The offense runs a lot better when the ball is in his hand and he's kind of the one making the decisions. And I think it took a lot of growing up for Caleb Love to kind of accept that role. And it's a role for him where he goes into something where he's a lot more comfortable in as an elite shooter. I think Carolina's they're averaging about 1.4 points per possession on Love catch and shoots. So it's an offense where everybody's kind of found their role and accepted it, and it's been the guard play that has kind of elevated this team during this run.
This team certainly can win a national championship. Looking to win a national championship for Hubert Davis. If he wins a title, he'll be the first full-time coach to ever win a title in a first season, which is incredible when you talk about the storylines, because coming in, it's all about Coach K, right? Winning his 6th title, winning going out, trying to do something only Al McGuire's done and retire and win a title when he won with Marquette in 1977, which is interesting because a lot of people picked Marquette to beat North Carolina in the first round, and here they are going through Marquette, going through Baylor, going through UCLA, knocking off St. Peter's. The run feels Cinderella, but Hubert Davis says, we're not a Cinderella. He reminded folks that this is a blue blood. We get things done, and they've got things done thanks in part to Brady Manek, the Oklahoma transfer, who has absolutely transformed his look from a visibility standpoint, but he's played like an animal. He has the most points right now in the NCAA tournament, averaging 21.5 points per game. How has he complemented Armando Bacot?
Yeah, he led North Carolina in scoring that first round against Marquette. The second game against Baylor, he had like 26 points, and he got ejected from that game with about 12 minutes left. So it's
controversial,
like,
too.
Yeah, very controversial. So it's almost like, what could he have done if he didn't get ejected from that Baylor game with how efficient he is at scoring? And then you have somebody like Armando Bacot, who right now is tied with Tim Duncan for most double-doubles in a season in ACC history. Armando Bacot, everybody kind of, you could pencil him in. He's a walking double-double at this point. But Brady Manek, for what Coach Davis is trying to do with the stretch 4, you couldn't go in a lab and design a player better for that system than somebody like Brady Manek with his ability to stretch the floor. He's a great spot-up shooter. He's great at moving without the ball. He can get mismatches in the post and play that more traditional post role. And then he is that experienced guy that this North Carolina team desperately needed. When I'm sitting on press row, you could hear Brady Manek talking on both ends of the court, and he's the one kind of gathering this team around during dead balls and trying to rally the troops for during bad times. So I think Brady Manek, it's been as ideal a transfer situation as this North Carolina team could have expected.
You know this team inside and out. Why can they beat Duke? How can they win a national championship?
Yeah, since March 1st, according to most of the metrics, this North Carolina team is the best team in the country, or at least a top 5 team in the country. I think where this Duke team can get themselves in trouble is on the defensive side of the ball. You think about their defensive numbers. I think they're in the 40s according to KenPom, and that is with somebody like Mark Williams as the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. North Carolina, if their guards are on tomorrow, I don't see any scenario where North Carolina can't keep this game close and even win this game. And I think the belief and the confidence that Hubert Davis has kind of instilled in his team and in the locker room. Against Baylor, nobody really gave North Carolina a shot, but when you talk to those guys in the locker room, they had almost no doubt about it. And when you look at those games and you look at the margin of victory that North Carolina has in this tournament, they're clearly better than an 8 seed, and they truly believe that.
Trying to upset Coach K in perhaps his final game, knock him off for a second time this season, knocked him off for his final home game, and now looking to send him into retirement here in New Orleans as North Carolina and Duke meet for the first time in the NCAA tournament. Taylor Vippolis here from Inside Carolina for 24/7 Sports. Taylor, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good stuff.